The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio. Keep your mission on your mind and your mind on your mission. This is Mission Minded with Michael Coleman.
Welcome back to another Mission Minded. Keep your mind, your mission on your mind. And it is a brand new year. Here's Michael Coleman. I could not be happier to start my new year talking, of course, to the CEO of the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. Michael, how you doing, man? Happy New Year to you, brother. How you doing?
Happy New Year to you. Got through the holidays. I've survived the holidays, as I should say. You know, holidays are tough. We talked about, I have a couple of, like my father passed away a week before Christmas 10 years ago. My grandmother passed away on Christmas Eve back in 98. So not always super happy memories, you know, when you're going through that time. But no, got through it. And of course, going through a divorce, got some things going on in the family as well. So that's been a huge adjustment. So to be honest with you, I'm glad to get through the holidays and be back at work.
I hear you. And that's not enough.
And Alabama looked pitiful in the bowl game. So I can't even enjoy sports right now.
Yeah, 25 hasn't been particularly good to me yet either. So I'm hoping maybe all the bad stuff comes out early and maybe we can
turn it around. That's right.
Set our sights on the back half of the year. You know, it's interesting too, because I don't think a lot of people realize just how hard you work and how much you do at a food bank during the last quarter of a year with Thanksgiving and with Christmases and with cold weather and just the change of the culture that we live in, period. Can you talk a little bit about that? And do you get to exhale in January?
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things that we've mentioned on probably a show or two, but when I first got here, they were telling me, and that makes sense. You're thinking fourth quarter, you know, it's Thanksgiving time. It's a Christmas time, a lot of food needs. What we try to do is set up our processes so that we can absorb increased demand without creating chaos. And so we've gotten, when I say we, it's really our operations team and all the other people have really managed to just develop and grow the processes and refine them to where we have some bandwidth to be able to absorb a lot more individuals at this time, or agencies purchasing more equipment. I mean, more food, which means we're moving a lot more food. In one respect, though, we're a lot like like most nonprofits, where the fourth quarter, October, November, December, is all about the fundraising time. You're always going to have your biggest month in December. Probably your second biggest month is in November. I think I said 50% of the annual income comes out of those 2 months, maybe 60%. So we were very blessed. One of the things we always are a little concerned about during the election year is a lot of disposable income gets sent to candidates. And so lots of times people who might normally send you $500 may send you $300 or they may not send you anything at all this year. So we've come through that in good shape. We actually exceeded last December's numbers. It's actually the total donations are down. The number of donors are down. So, and the total repeat donations are down. But the good thing is that our dollars ended up being actually just a tad better, which means that our per donation average is climbing.
That's good. Yeah.
And people try to interpret that data. Okay, you're losing donors. That's not good. You know, but it could be several factors in that. There's a million different variables and lessons learned. You just got to dig down into the data to see what it's telling you. But the good news is those who did choose to donate are doing so at a higher rate, which means typically that our marketing and our relationship management, our community engagement is successful because they're believing in what we've done a good job helping them see the demand, see what the need is, helping them understand how their donations affect their neighbors so they can see the money flowing through us and into an impact and what that impact looks like. So I'm very positive about that. And, I'm just like you said, we always try to be positive. I'm like, Lord, you know what we need to be successful. I trust you to provide it. I'm going to do everything I can and keep my head down. But ultimately, whether we're successful or not, it's going to be in your hands. And per normal, he always comes through and provides what we need. So I'm just incredibly grateful and thankful for that.
Yes, he does indeed. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. We have some emails we want to get into here for the first show of course, 2025. Amber in Greenville wants to know why do some businesses' financial years start at different times of the year? This is interesting. I as a business owner, and certainly you do too. Not all business years start January to December. A lot of times they may start in December or maybe start in February. They may start in April. And they learn, and because of that, it changes their budget structure a little bit on when you can ask for people to spend money or when do they spend money in marketing or when. So can you describe why there are different financial years for different companies?
Yeah, my first introduction to this, because growing up and you're a teenager, you don't know anything about anything, was when I went in the military and they're on their fiscal year. So you have a calendar year, and that is what it is. A fiscal year, though, is the start of a year and then the end of the year. And you see that government is almost always, government agencies are start in 1 October and it ends 30 September. And that was my first introduction into that world. But interestingly, in our own network of food banks, it's all over the place. Some do calendar year, some do October to September. We do July to June. Now, it was that way when I was in Birmingham in the Jimmy Hale mission. We did July to June. We do the same thing here. Mm-hmm. I think lots of times when people do calendar years, so I'll speak this for nonprofits, but I think as a general rule, people look at their business and where information or key months fall and where in that cycle. And so they adjust that based on what they believe their needs are. So for food banking, let's say that I was doing a calendar year. Mm-hmm. And so 1 January would be the start of my fiscal year as well. Well, the fiscal year is going to be based on what you did last year. And with November and December being already your biggest donation months, it's hard to get November and December because you're already going to be putting that budget together and you don't even know what your biggest months are going to produce in order to project into the future year. So the way we have it now is in July, I've got 6 months. So we just completed December. We've completed our 6th month. Now we're in our 7th month. At the end of February, at the beginning of February, I'm already going to begin next year's budget preparation. So I'll have February, March, and April because those months are pretty static in terms of need, in terms of fundraising. So my big month's already passed us. Now I can get a vision for kind of, hey, are we going to meet the budget? We're far enough along in the year. Are we going to meet the budget? Roll into this. And the transition from one year to the next, it's just a good fit for us. There's no, and now a tax attorney, which I am not, may indicate there's tax advantages or whatever, depending on when that is. But for us, it fits us to be able to evaluate our giving times, our greatest food need times, all that kind of stuff for our fiscal year to be 6 months offset of the calendar year. Okay. But everybody's going to be different.
There you go. Great question. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Info at TonyCurryRadio.net. Connie in Birmingham wants to know about the Farm Bill. The Farm Bill, of course, has not been voted on as of right now. And obviously with our presidential, we got special guests coming in the studio. What's going on?
That's all right.
Such are the holidays. He comes in and keeps me warm. Thank you, Javier. I appreciate that.
He's worried about you, Dad.
He is. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. I love you. If I take this off for some reason, he knows it comes off, and he'll be back in here about 5 minutes to put it back on again.
He loves his dad.
Yeah, I love him too, big time. Wants to know, what was I talking about? The Farm Bill. You talk about the Farm Bill in the past, and it does directly affect you guys.
Usually affects us.
Yeah, usually.
And the whole issue of food insecurity.
So let's kind of circle this up. We have not only another president, a president that we've had before, so you can kind of get an idea of how he's going to do things, but we're also switching parties. How does that all play into what non-for-profits and specifically the Heart of Alabama Food Bank does?
Yeah, so I won't go into the full detail that I did last time, but just in a nutshell, more so than not, Republicans, when they look at the Farm Bill, so it comes around every 5 years. Well, of course, we'll be starting year 7 because they didn't want to do anything the year because of squabbling. And then it got into the election year and it just keeps getting punted down the road. So after the election, we feel like, okay, in the springtime, maybe is a good time where they're going to come back and really attack this bill. But it has your SNAP benefits. A lot of people know them as food stamps still. So you have those kind of individual benefits, WIC, things like that. Mm-hmm. But then on the other side, you also have a lot of things that have to do with agriculture policy and benefits to farmers and trying to make sure that we can have a sustainable food source. And the research, just all those different things that go in that, the USDA and all of that. So now there are exceptions on both sides, and there are no black and white. I'm not trying to make it that way, but primarily what you will see when you see Republicans talk about the Farm Bill is focused on farming, the business of agriculture, the food supply, all of that kind of stuff, more as it affects the national economy, the world economy, those kind of things. When it tend to Democrats tend more to focus as a group on the individual benefits, the SNAP benefits, the social support structures. And again, that doesn't mean Republicans don't care about that issue, nor does it mean that Democrats don't care about farmer issues. We know all that's not true. So, but they kind of get entrenched, and because they see the world differently on almost every issue, and they become entrenched. There can be a challenge. Now, you have organizations that like Feeding America that have a lobbyist. That go there and say, hey, we're asking that the Farm Bill double SNAP benefits. We're asking the Farm Bill to double TFAP allocations. And TFAP allocations, TFAP is the primary USDA program. It stands for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. And so basically, the USDA spends billions of dollars a year buying food from farmers and manufacturers and sends it directly to food banks to be distributed based on the food insecure number of people in the area that we cover. And then even provides us some funding to help cover the cost of the distribution. Are there,
but real quick, correct me, are there farmers just for Feeding America?
No.
Okay.
No. But the USDA, another example would be and this is state by state, but yeah. Alabama has a LFPA, which the bottom line is local farmers programs where they will go to, if a farmer gets approved, a farmer can have his crops, or at least a portion of his crops, fruits, any kind of produce, purchased directly by the USDA, and instead of it going to the market or going to Walmart, it comes directly from the farm to the food bank.
Gotcha.
And those are so helpful because usually that gives us 2 to 3 weeks to move that produce. Lots of times when we get produce, it's got 2 or 3 days left. Mm-hmm. And so we really have to, again, be efficient. So all those issues are in there, like how much assistance we're going to get as a food bank. We get probably 20 to 25% of our total funding from the government. So you're talking, $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Well, if we got 2.3 million, for instance, over a year, well, then that's 300,000 to pour into our operations, perhaps get more people hired, those kind of things that enable us to just have a greater impact and do more things. So if what's happened is as inflation's continued to go up, as they've extended the farm bill, they don't account for inflation. So it's just at the current rate. So as inflation has climbed the last 2 years, especially hitting groceries hard, they've kept us at the same funding levels, which means we're losing money because of inflation, and we have to, the burden falls on us to be able to pick up that slack. So, yeah, the farm bill is something that I'm keeping my eye on. It's very important to me. I don't like to get down necessarily in the issues like an advocate with politicians. I just want both politicians to see both sides of it. I want Democrats to understand Republicans' arguments, and I want Republicans to understand Democrats' arguments, to see the individual, but to see the bigger need. Like when it comes to food insecurity, we don't have to be enemies on this. It doesn't have to be a political football that we kick back and forth. And they will find some common ground, especially if Republicans hold together. It can make it easier than having a split government. For them to get something like a farm bill across. But we'll see. But I'm hopeful that at least by the summertime, the farm bill will be passed.
There you go. Michael Coleman is the CEO of the Heart of Alabama Food Bank down there in beautiful Montgomery, covers 35 counties in the great state of Alabama. And of course, also works with Feeding America and just does wonderful work. Steve in Orlando, please. First of all, he says, I love the show. I love listening every single week. He works with a food bank down in Orlando, which is awesome. And wants to know, ask Michael if he's ever heard of cultured meat and how it could change food banks forever. Cultured meat, do you know what cultured meat is? It's meat you grow.
Meat you grow. Okay. I was fixing to say, I don't know that I've heard that term, or if I have, I've maybe seen it in context and understood.
And I think out in the West Coast where they're millenniums in front of us in kookiness. I think you can already buy cultured meat out there at some grocery stores. Now it's super expensive, but it's actual meat that you grow in a petri dish, and it grows like a regular meat. And you can have it taste or look or feel any particular way you want. I'm not really sure how it works. I'd have to do a little research on that, but that says something. I mean, anytime you can grow something that would be meat based, obviously would I would think would be a game changer.
Yeah, I'm to be honest with you, I don't know enough about it to offer an opinion other than to say this. I know people get really freaked out when you talk about genetically modified things and new things. Let
me just, and I'm going to my go-to, my wiki. Culture meat, also known as cultivated meat, among other names, is a form of cellular agricultural wherein meat is produced by culturing animal cells in vitro. Culture meat is produced using tissue engineering techniques pioneered in regenerative medicine. Jason Matheny popularized the concept in the early 2000s after he co-authored a paper on cultured meat production and created New Harvest, the world's first nonprofit organization dedicated to in vitro meat research. It has the potential to mitigate the environmental impact of meat production and address issues regarding animal welfare, food security, and human health. So there you have it. It is something that's it's not the future. I mean, it's here.
Yeah. Well, I'm making a note right now, and I've got to, before I form an opinion, I need to figure out more about this. My apologies.
No, it's fine. Maybe next week we dive into, far out, crazy, interesting, different ways that people can be fed, and this is certainly something that I think a lot of people are like, what in the world are you talking about? But I didn't think, a lot of people were like, what are you talking about? I wouldn't eat that. Well, we have vegetarian meat now. We have things that we never thought we'd have in the first place. So there you have it. To go along with that.
I will tell you this real quick before you jump on that.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are all for is bringing more protein, because it's one of the things, especially where we are in the South, we have a lot of obesity, especially with our poor, because they don't have access to the more expensive produce and the fruits and your proteins and stuff like that. So you end up eating a lot of processed food, a lot of sugary foods, a lot of heavy carbohydrates. I would tell you, one of the things that I love, even though I'm not personally a hunter and I don't personally enjoy deer meat, but we have a feral hog population that's getting worse and worse. And we also have one of the, I think, more deer per square mile than any other state in the nation. And sometimes when hunters, so they're able to kill multiple deer. And when they do, there's programs out there that encourage them, that will pay the processing for that. And then as long as it's processed by a licensed processor, we can then bring that into the food system.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's a great thing for us, because lots of times, people just love to hunt, and then their meat will be, their freezers will be full of deer meat, and they still have more. And so they'll donate it. We bring that into the food system and get that out to families. And I'm just all for, look, if you're going to, and our deer population has to be managed here effectively, because there's so many of them. But I love the idea of that food being brought into the food supply system and being distributed for people who are in need.
Kind of crazy, man. If you were like in 20 or 30 years growing your own meat down there at the heart of Alabama Food Bank, that'd be kind of...
I got to be honest with you. Us Southerners, we're going to probably be the last ones on board for that. If based on what you read to me,
you're probably right.
We're a finicky bunch. Now, we'll eat a possum or something, or a squirrel.
Yeah.
All right, but don't grow our meat in the lab.
Tabitha in Inverness says, love the show. Listen every single week. Heard you do a recent show on Dollar Tree and Dollar Generals opening up everywhere. We talked about this. Oh my gosh, 4 or 5 shows ago. I want to say there's some type of dollar entity opening up like every 6 seconds in this country right now. It's crazy. Yeah. We have a Dollar General down the bottom of the hill here off of Morgan Road. And there was a CVS that closed about a year ago right across the street, and it just opened up, and I saw the green highlight on it. I was like, that's going to be a Dollar Tree. And it is a Dollar Tree, and it's going to be a big Dollar Tree. And I actually drove by, and they're trying to get it open, I guess, open by the end of January, and people are excited in this area of town. I don't know why. We're good. We have a Publix, 5 or 6 miles down the road. It's not really a rural area, but I guess it's on the outskirts of that. But it looks like there's going to be a lot of produce there. And I have noticed at the other place, the Dollar General, where you never get fresh, and all of a sudden I saw some fresh strawberries there the other day. I was like, wow, they got strawberries in here. Talk a little bit about that and how that could change the way we do food bagging too.
I don't want to look like I'm toting the water for Dollar General, but I will tell you, they have come on board Feeding America and doing more and more. And one of the things I think they've really honed in and got a great niche, like in Lowndes County, which is one of our areas. You go through and, at the very southern part of the county in Fort Deposit, they have a DG market. And so when you see these, because there's so many rural populations, it's just like a Walmart market. It's not a full-size Walmart, but it's just what Dollar General is doing the same thing and serving as grocery stores to these communities where major chains will not bring a grocery store in. because a Publix is not going to come in unless the demographics. Now, they might go ahead on the edge of a town, but that's because it's been proven or it's been shown that the town's growing out.
Yeah.
So they know they're going to be surrounded by neighborhoods. But Dollar General's doing that and bringing fresh produce, fresh milk, those kind of things that a lot of people couldn't at a reasonable price. And a lot of things so I'm very thankful. And I would even say Dollar General. I mean, you get a lot of Dollar Tree. It's the old concept back when we were growing up. The 5 and dime is really my grandfather and father's day. Every little town had a 5 and dime store. And so that idea is continued to be perpetuated through these stores. There's a Family Dollar, a Dollar Tree. There's lots of different things. But I think Dollar General, I tend to look at, has a better model. It has more sturdiness or more lasting ability, I guess, because it's just a solid company and they have a very solid plan. And I think when you see them moving forward with that plan, they're filling a real need, and they're not just dumping crap in different communities. They really, from a corporate conscious standpoint, are trying to really address food insecurity. Now, does that happen to help their bottom dollar? Of course.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who are coming into this area and bringing this kind of stuff there. So I think they reap the benefits. Should reap the benefits of those.
It's kind of crazy because I was watching one of these Men Who Build America kind of things about Sam Walton and his concept of having a store that sold everything, and everyone was like, "That's insane." Well, I mean, Prime's doing pretty good selling. I mean, they're doing pharmaceuticals now, for God's sakes. They're selling everything, and then even to the point where Walmart started selling groceries. You know, Walmart wasn't a grocery thing, and now they're starting selling groceries because they wanted to be the one-stop shop. And I'm thinking now, whereas Dollar Generals used to be looked upon as this rural, crappy places, let's be honest,
cheap, everything's cheap,
dirty. I'm not going to go in there and buy my hot dog buns when I'm going to go shop at a Winn-Dixie or a Publix, but they can be a cleaner step up from, say, a Circle K. It's something that I get 3 kids. I'm always out of milk. I seem like I'm always out of milk. Yeah. And man, I would give anything if there was a drive-through milk store. If there was a drive of a milk store where I could just because I don't want to have to stop the car, go in. I know I'm going to spend more than what I just need on a gallon of milk because I'm going to have to walk past everything and I'm going to have to buy those things. And I just want to get in and get out. And Dollar Generals have turned into those stores where you can kind of get in and get out if you know what they sell.
Well, and that's exactly that's the point is they've developed it so it's not as big as a Walmart, but it's like a mini. And so they're starting with refrigerated items. You know, they're not going to bring in meats. If they do, it'll be limited, but I could certainly see them bringing in some meal kits maybe that you see in some of these places. But I think it's so you're not going to have as large a selection as you do in a Walmart. You might have bread, but you might not have 20 different kinds of bread like you do at Walmart.
Yeah.
You're still filling a need. You just don't have as large a population in these rural areas. So your customer base is not going to be as big. So you don't need as much space. But I really appreciate companies who fill that niche because they can go a long way towards helping our communities be healthier by providing a reasonably priced healthier choices for them.
Hey, thanks for the emails. info@TonyCurryRadio.net. We'd love to get to this every once in a while. And thanks to the thousands of folks who listen to the show every single week. We greatly appreciate you going back and archiving some of our previous shows. You can check those out, Tony Curry Radio Podcast. All you can do is pull up Tony Curry Radio Podcast, go to Audio Boom or anywhere you get your favorite podcast, and you go back and listen to all of our shows. And we got some really, really good shows on there, including, of course, the executive director of Feeding America, who's joined our show and a couple times. We cut up a show about a year ago. We probably need to get her back on. We also do a show called Bite by Bite, which is a show specific to the needs of Heart of Alabama Food Bank. And if you're listening here on our network on Tony Curry Radio, that show will be coming up here next, or you can find that Bite by Bite wherever you get your favorite podcast. Michael, thank you so much. Till next week, my man. Happy New Year.
Wishing everybody a Happy New Year.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.